you eat,
some winning birthday breakfast, brother. I freaking
That's all. Happy
monkey
birthday,
bread.
motherfucker! I forgot, dude. I was gonna
Winning? What do
text
you
you.
mean by winning? Oh, because Antonio lost, huh?
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, I
Shit.
wanted the Eagles win too, but
Never mind. I don't even think we should bring up football with Antonio here.
Are we live? Are we going yet? Have we been going this whole time?
I started recording a little while ago. I'm not gonna lie. All right, hold on.
All right. What do we gotta talk about?
All right, hold on.
Fuck!
What the hell was that?
I don't know what the hell that was.
That like cut
Kinda
out.
scared me a little
That
bit.
cut out. What was that? You good?
Are we going or what?
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure you good. All I heard was fuck. That's all I heard. You cut out.
I don't know if we're live or
I was
not.
making sure we're good. Yeah.
We're good.
Yep, we're good. I'm recording.
All right. Are we going now? Are we starting now?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
That was just
So wait,
funny.
who's doing the intro?
We're just gonna get right into it, man. No intro.
Oh, we're good. We're good. Fuck the intro. I'm Antonio. I wasn't here last time. I was sick. I was a piece of shit, but it's all right. I'm here now, so in the fucking Super Bowl.
Yep. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. Eagles take the L. 38,
You know, honestly,
35. Damn.
look. Honestly, I haven't had enough time to not be salty about it, but I'm not gonna be salty about it. It was a good game. It was a pretty fair game. Honestly, look, if there was anything to take away from that game, at least for me, it was that like Patrick Mahomes was clearly the best football player on the field. Like I don't even think.
No, Jalen Hurts outplayed him.
Yeah, Jalen did outplay him pretty good too. But Patrick, so Jalen had more.
Listen. When you Patrick Mahomes on one leg, right?
Yeah, he was hurt.
Bro, they juiced him up.
Patrick Mahomes on one leg.
Bro, they juiced him up at half. He's fine. He would have been fine for like 3-4 hours, bro.
I know. But look, hear me out. Patrick Mahomes on one leg took on the most ferocious pass rush in the NFL, the best secondary in the NFL, and like one of the most side to side fucking linebacker crews in the NFL. Like they literally drop Hassan Reddick half the time. Like he went against the most well-rounded defense in the entire league.
Yeah, but Antonio, that wasn't him though.
One time, look, listen, he didn't get sacked one time in that entire game.
I know that's because his offensive line played good. It wasn't Mahomes.
No, but he was pressure, bro. He was maneuvering around pressure. He was maneuvering around the pressure on one leg.
Hold on, real quick. So I did see it is a conspiracy now that I don't know if it's true or not, but I did see somewhere that someone posted that their championship is kind of withheld just because they want to drug test Mahomes to make sure they didn't juice his ass up at halftime because of he appeared to be fine after coming out after half. But I don't know how true that is.
They're not gonna juice him, but they gave him a shot at something just so he can't feel the pain.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're gonna test to make sure it's something that's legal. So I think that's the question.
They're not gonna shoot him up with anything stupid. They just gave him a shot to numb the pain, and you could see
that shit is like a horse trank, bro. It's serious.
No, but Dom, they do it in every game. They do it for everybody. Whenever somebody gets hurt,
Brock Lesnar shit.
Yeah, I know.
They can just shoot up. Fine.
Yep, they're shooting him up with that shit that Brock Lesnar.
But I'm saying that numbs it for 3 to 4 hours. Like it's not like he was.
Yeah, it's probably just painkiller.
Yeah, it's just pain relief. They do it for anybody. They didn't give him steroids in the back.
Yes, I know, Antonio. But what I'm saying is he wasn't on one leg, bro.
All right.
It's
all right, let's
just a morphine shot, bro. Like you see, he was freaking hobbling off the field, and then he came back at halftime like it was nothing. They wrapped that bitch up, gave him a couple shots, he was fine. Well, what I'm saying is Patrick Mahomes.
They gave him some milk.
Secret juice.
They just gave him some milk, man. Strengthen up the bones.
Nah,
the loins.
he got the secret juice from
Paulo Costa.
Paulo Costa.
All right, so Jalen Hurts did have better like yards, but Mahomes had 3 touchdowns. He only had 182 yards. Jalen Hurts had 304 yards, but with 1 touchdown, and that touchdown was
he had
the
3
rushing.
He had 3 touchdowns.
Jalen?
Yeah, he had.
Oh
he
yeah,
had
yeah,
two
I see here. Yeah,
QB
Jalen Hurts
touchdowns.
3 rushing
Well,
touchdowns.
and
Yeah,
then-
he did
yeah.
play. He did outplay Mahomes, but yeah, Mahomes was only on one leg. He was hurt.
Look, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts didn't outplay Mahomes. Like I mean, you got to really define. You have to define outplay, right? Because Patrick Mahomes, no fumbles, no sacks taken.
Mhm.
Like
I mean, Jalen wouldn't have
literally,
got sacked
like I
either.
said- like I
He
said.
just ran out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage. He didn't know that would have been a sack, or else he wouldn't have got sacked the whole game either.
Yeah, that was the
I
only
know.
sack of the whole game. He was getting
what
trailed,
I'm-
and he ran out of
but what
bounds,
I'm-
but they called that a sack.
What I'm saying is just because Jalen Hurts did more doesn't mean he played a better game. Patrick Mahomes played a perfectly flawless game on one leg against the best
That's
defense in the
true.
NFL. That's
All
what
right,
I'm
now,
saying.
true.
all right, now let me ask you real quick. If that holding call was never called, do you think Jalen Hurts would have traveled down and got a game-winning field goal or a touchdown for the win? Well, how hot he was.
It's definitely
I
a
mean,
possibility, but
we can't say either way if he would. I mean, 50-50, but I mean, I think he would have had an opportunity to, and that's the point. Like that
Yep.
holding call robbed him of an opportunity to
Mhm.
win the game. Now it was
It was
James. I mean,
holding.
it
But it was a
was
ticky-tack
holding.
call.
It was holding, but it was a very, very, very ticky tacky call that did not need to be made.
yeah, I did see
There were worse holding calls than that during the course of the game that didn't get called at all.
yeah, I saw James
You know?
Bradbury did come out. He did say it was a holding, that I tugged
Yeah,
his jersey, and
but-
I was hoping that they would let it go. But you know how people are gonna be. People are still gonna say it's rigged. People are gonna say bad call, and they're
Yeah, well, they did.
but
You see the same thing happened to Cincinnati last year in the Super
Mhm.
Bowl. The Rams were driving down the field. Cincinnati made the stop and put themselves in a position to win the game. And then there goes that flag for holding.
it's a part of the game. It's a part of the game. The refs are human.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like-
a part of the game.
like
Refs
you
make
have
mistakes
to-
sometimes and stuff like that. It's just it's part of it. It is what it is.
You look, if you want to win the Super Bowl, you have to win it. You can't. It's like a fight. You can't keep it in the ref's hands,
Mm-hmm.
or you can't keep it. You can't put it in the judge's hands because the judges don't know shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if you have, like, last night, we saw Dana White's reaction to the fights, or not last night, the night before last night, we saw Dana White's reaction to the fights where he thought, Volkanovski came out with. Everybody thought Volkanovski came out with the win, but they gave it to Islam Makhachev. The thing is, it was close enough that it doesn't matter. You can't leave it in their hands. If Philly was the better football team, they would have came out and won the football game by, more than 3 points. It is what it is. When it gets that close, and you put it and you leave it in the ref's hands, shit happens, man.
I will say, I predicted this. I did say they were going to go back and forth. It was going to be a back and forth close game, and it was going to come down to the last drive. I knew whoever had the ball in the last drive, that was going to define the game. Either they were going to score or they weren't going to score. And that's
The
exactly
Eagles
what
should have
happened.
had it on the last drive. Well,
Yeah, they
Well,
should have,
this-
but they didn't.
Well, this game was either going to go one of two ways. Either Philly was going to blow Kansas City out, or it was going to be a close game like it was last night. Now, it almost started happening that way. Philly was up 14-0 or 14-7, and they were driving. They were about to go up 21. If they take that drive all the way down, they go up, what is it,
21-7.
7, and then Jalen Hurts drops the football and it turns into a tie game. And from there, the momentum stayed tight between, like Kansas City stayed in the game. That was a huge momentum switch. Now, if that doesn't happen, Jalen Hurts takes Philly down the field, scores again, and it's 21-7. It's 21-7 going into, like, the second half of the third quarter. Then we're talking about, they can let the pass rushers go. Philadelphia can just run the football and just start.
Yeah, it's a whole nother game. It's a whole nother game.
If that play
See,
doesn't happen, it's a completely different game.
I hate when you say that because like you say the whole momentum switch and all that, but like yo, y'all, it's not like you guys didn't do anything after that. You guys were up 10 at the half. Like
I know, I know. I
there was
realize
no
that.
there was
I
no
realize that. But what I'm
even
saying
though
is,
it happened, there's no way that you can like pin that on that
Dominic,
specific play because
nobody, no,
you guys turned around and got the momentum back by scoring 10
Dominic,
unanswered.
I realize that nobody's sitting here blaming the entire loss on that game or the entire loss on that one play. What I'm saying is that was the huge momentum switch that put Kansas City in the driver's seat. Like Philadelphia was driving
You
down the field. They were about to go up 21-7. That's what I'm saying, Dominic. That was the play that Kansas City needed to get back into
but
the football game. I'm
what
not saying
momentum did
Kansas
they
City
get?
won the game.
They didn't
They s-
score.
they
They didn't
they
score
went
after
they
that.
went for okay, Dominic, I'm not saying what I'm saying is the game went from going to be 21-7 to 14-14. That's what happened in a split second. It was going to be 21-7, it turned to 14-14. That is the biggest play that had happened up until that point in the game to put Kansas City back in the game. That is all I'm saying. I'm not saying the Eagles only lost because of that game. The Philadelphia Eagles lost because of everything that occurred from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. What I am saying is that was the key play that kept this from not being a fucking blowout, from Philadelphia not running away from this thing. That is all I'm trying to say. That was a really, 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 really huge momentum switch play for Kansas City that gave them 7 points. If they don't have that 7 points, they don't win the football game, dummy. That's what I'm saying. Like that was a huge play for them. They needed that play or else shit was gonna get out of hand quick, bro. It was getting out of hand, bro. It was about to be 21-7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to
So that
think,
was a big
if they put that pressure on the Chiefs, do you think Mahomes maybe tries to force some big plays and they cause some turnovers and stuff like that? That could have been an opportunity to maybe get
yeah.
some turnovers.
You got to think if Philly goes up 21-7, then the DBs come back and Philly just unloads the front seven, and Mahomes gets eaten alive.
Mm-hmm.
They just unload the front seven and run the football for the rest of the game, and Kansas City won't have a chance. Kansas City probably wouldn't have a chance to get back into the game from that. 21-7. They unload the pass rush, and then Philly just runs the ball for the rest of the fucking game. Not saying Kansas City wouldn't have came back, but it would have been a way different game. It would have been way harder for them to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If we're talking about like a 14-point swing, then that's different. But they only won by 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is the fumble 6 was the big difference. That was the big play.
I don't know, man.
But I mean, the game played out how it did. I mean, at the end of the day, too, if the Eagles would have gotten one last drive, if they didn't make that penalty, Chiefs are up 38-35. They have about like a little over a minute left in the game. Do you think Jalen Hurts drives down the field and gets it done, or do you think he tries to force it? And because we see it time and time again with these big games, they come down to the wire. The last drive, quarterback tries to force it, interception. So do you think that happens, or do you think they drive down and they actually tie this game up? We go into overtime, or even score a touchdown? They've scored quick touchdowns multiple times in this game. Do you think they go down and score a touchdown?
It depends on how you want to look at it. If you want to look at it like Jalen Hurts was hot in that moment because he made the drive in the previous, or he made the previous drive, and he made it look easy, went down the field and scored really quick, then you could probably say he probably would have did it again. But if you want to look at like the half in totality, only scoring 3 points in the third quarter, only scoring 8 points in the fourth quarter, and that like most of that came at the end, then you could probably say, there's a better chance that he wouldn't have made the drive. You know what I mean? Like that the big signature drive was the last drive that he made, probably.
So who do you guys think? Oh, Dom, did you want to comment on that at all? Do you think Jalen Hurts would have went down to score? Do you think they would have got a field goal? Or
What
do
do
you
you
think
think?
he would have?
Yeah, I think he would have. I think Jalen Hurts gets better. better, with more pressure on his shoulders, and I think he would have got them at least in
Okay.
field goal range. I think the RPO, especially because they had, if they no, they wouldn't have had any timeouts.
Okay.
I
So you.
still think they wouldn't have been able to stop him,
Mhm.
with Goddard and AJ and
Yep.
Devontae.
Yeah, Goddard and Devontae were having a game. They were having themselves a game.
Well, damn, Devontae, after the first quarter, he didn't really get looked at.
Yeah, it was all Goddard really.
Yeah.
Second half, Goddard was coming in clutch, huge catches, huge plays when they needed him to too. Very reliable.
You know what really sticks out to me in this game? Miles Sanders had 7 carries for 16 yards.
Yeah, but they were
That's
using everybody though. They weren't really rushing them.
they weren't because look,
They were
Jalen Hurts
mixing
got
the rushes
15.
with everybody.
Jalen Hurts got 15 for 70 and 3 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell got 7 for 21. Yeah, man, there wasn't much going on in the running back room. Jalen was the only one. Like they had their running backs hemmed up, man. Jalen Hurts was the only one able to move the ball because, he's the last option. So
So, who do you guys think from each team, one player, who do you think was like the game changer? Like in my opinion, I'll give my first opinion. The Chiefs, the Isaiah Pacheco guy, he didn't have that many yards, only 76 yards, but he was very very clutch. When he needed to make a play, he showed up and he made a play. Who do you
He's
think
a
that
rookie too.
Yep, who do you think that person was for the Chiefs and who do you think that person was for the Eagles?
For the Eagles, in my opinion, it was Goddard. He was making every play
Mhm.
that needed to be made, especially on that last drive. I think it was like 2 third and longs. One was a 3rd and 14. Draped the defender was draped all over him. He just literally mossed him. I think it was Goddard for the Eagles. The Chiefs, yeah, I could say Pacheco as well.
What do you think,
um
Antonio?
all right, so what's the question again? You want to know
Who do you think was like the game
is
changers
it
of each team? Who do you think had
kind of
like the
like the
most
MVP
impact?
of each team?
I wouldn't really
Um
say MVP because obviously Patrick Mahomes would be the MVP of the Chiefs.
yeah.
Jalen Hurts would be the MVP of the Eagles.
I'd
But
say
who do you
I'd
think
say
was like the game
I like
changer?
the I like Dominic's choice of Dallas Goddard. I think that's probably actually the right choice. Dallas Goddard was in position to make most of the big plays.
Hmm.
He had that one goddamn incredible catch, man. Like you remember that one he had on the sideline?
Yeah,
Was that
remember
was
that.
that
Yeah,
a
it was
catch or did they
third.
end up getting
It
two?
was the one I was in 3rd and 14.
Yeah, he had a few
Yeah,
really,
dude.
really, really good catches.
It almost reminded me of that Julio Jones catch when he made at the Super Bowl. Dude, like he just freaking
Hmm.
almost parallel from the ground, full extension. I mean, Dallas Goddard he did everything in this football game. But I'm gonna go with Devontae Smith. He has one more catch than Dallas Goddard. He has looks like 40 more yards than Dallas Goddard.
Hmm.
The thing about Devontae Smith is that Devontae Smith was unstoppable. He made so many he didn't make as many clutch plays on third down when they absolutely needed it as Dallas Goddard. But Devontae Smith was, dude, I didn't see him drop one catch all game long. If they had gone to Devontae Smith more, I think it would have yielded a really good outcome. You have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown against rookie cornerbacks, and AJ
Well,
Brown's taking double team.
it just it
AJ Brown's taking most of the double team. So Devontae Smith, I think, should have got most of it. I'm going with Devontae Smith on the Eagles and fucking Travis Kelce, dude. Travis Kelce
Hmm.
for the Chiefs. He
yeah.
had the opening touchdown. He had most of the like when they needed a play, it was Kelce. It was Kelce and Goddard, man. It was the tight ends.
Hmm. Yeah, the tight ends for
The
both
I
teams
Eagles,
definitely
the
came in
Eagles,
clutch.
you could go Devontae. Just how you see it for the Eagles.
I think
Devontae was the one who got them going in the beginning of the game. He didn't really do much at the end to decide the game, but in the beginning, he was their fire starter.
I
So I mean, you could go that
no,
route.
I agree with you. I mean Devontae Smith had more production, but Dallas Goddard was coming in clutch. He had more big plays that that led to Philly, scoring more points. He had more clutch plays. I agree. I'm gonna change my mind. I agree with Dominic. I like Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert was.
All right. So final thoughts on the Super Bowl. It was I just want to get your guys' final thoughts on it. It was a good game, but it seems like every Super Bowl now there's some type of controversy in every single Super Bowl. Either one team blows out another, so now they're investigating something, or a ref makes a bad call that no one agrees with. Now it's Eagles against the refs or whatever, stuff like that. But what do you think about the game overall? It was a really, really good game.
You can go first.
It was a good game. It was a really fun game. There were calls here and there, but honestly, and this is coming from a huge Eagles fan. Honestly, it wasn't as bad this year as it usually is. Like when you look at last year, like there were some calls that literally ripped the game away from the Bengals. The Bengals should have won that football game. When you look at the year before that in Tampa, when like it was the Bucks versus the Chiefs, and the Chiefs were getting every single bad call, and the Bucks weren't getting called for anything. This game wasn't that bad. I mean, it was a pretty fair game. You had that call at the end that kind of swung it in Kansas City's favor, but at the end of the day, that wasn't it. The game was close enough to where if Philly did a couple more things differently, that play call by the ref shouldn't have mattered. So it was a good game, really fun game. I think everybody balled out. Jalen Hurts balled out. Patrick Mahomes balled out. It wasn't a boring Super Bowl, high scoring. I think it was great, man. It was a really good Super Bowl. The call at the end kind of killed the vibe a little bit, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was a fair game. It was a good Super Bowl. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think it was a good Super Bowl too. I think it would have been better if they didn't call that to see if Jalen Hurts, even if they went into overtime, that would have been pretty crazy with the new rules that you have to score a touchdown for the game to be over in the first possession.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry. Or no,
Well,
sorry. No, because if you score a touchdown, I believe that you still have a chance. I believe, right?
No, I'll say so. So the new rules are both teams are going to get an opportunity to score a touchdown, and if the first team scores a touchdown, the second team doesn't score a touchdown, then
Yeah, then they win.
boom.
But
Yeah.
I think it was really good. Probably one of the better Super Bowls at least I've watched.
All right.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game. I fuck with it.
All right. So moving on to UFC 284 was this Saturday. Do you guys want to start from the beginning of the card up, or do you want to start with the main event? We had some really good fights last night, or the other night.
Like how early we talking? We're doing just the main card?
Yeah, just the main card.
We can start from the bottom up.
Bottom up. All right.
Jimmy.
So the first fight, Jimmy Crute, Alonzo Menafield, ended in a draw. Very, very controversial in my eyes because Alonzo Menafield was clearly winning the fight. It wasn't until he was deducted a point for grabbing the fence that prevented a takedown that's obviously what lost him the fight because it ended in a draw. How did you guys see that fight? What did you think?
I mean, that was it. That was it, right? The fucking point deduction that caused the draw. I mean, when you really look at the fight, Jimmy Crute didn't really. I mean, from the beginning, you could tell there was a huge advantage in the striking for Manafield, and a huge advantage for Jimmy Crute in the wrestling. So, Manafield, they came out. Manafield started throwing right over the top from the beginning, and you could tell Jimmy Crute, he didn't have no backwards movement. He didn't have no head movement whatsoever. His head stayed on that center line the whole time and just ate every punch. So I mean, the kid's got a good chin. He fought forward through a lot of clean shots. Got some wrestling exchanges. But I think you're right. I think Manafield won the fight, and the point kind of fucked it up. But
really, I think so. First round, Manafield won. Second round, I think Crute won. I think when they went to the corners, Manafield's cornerman said that it's 1-1 and that we need this round. You have to win this round. And with the point deduction, people could say because he was still hurting him in the beginning, but I think Jimmy Crute won that 3rd round.
So you had
You
Jimmy
And
could
Crute
make
winning the second and the third.
I had Jimmy Crute winning the 2nd and the 3rd.
you can
Okay.
make an argument. You can make an argument either
Especially
way.
with the point deduction. I think Jimmy Crute
Yeah.
should have won the fight. It's hard to say because again, Alonzo was every punch that hit him was cleaning him. Like he was getting cleaned by those punches. So, but I don't know. I think Jimmy Crute won the 2nd and 3rd, and I thought he won the fight.
I think it comes down to like when you're like when you have two different styles like this, you have one guy that's obviously dominating all the striking exchanges, and you have one guy that's obviously dominating all the grappling exchanges. It comes down to almost like a football game. It comes down to time of possession and how dominant you're being. Like it comes down to, okay, is the fight more on the feet or is the fight more on the ground? And who's being more dominant in their respective field? Is Jimmy Crute being more dominant in the grappling and ground and pound, or is Manafield being more dominant in the striking? And then how are they defending each other? And I think when you look at it, you could make the argument. I do agree that Jimmy Crute he had a lot of time on Manafield in terms of controlling the fight, grappling, wrestling, and stuff like that. But I feel like Manafield was a lot more dominant when he was winning. When he was landing strikes, Jimmy Crute was getting hurt. When he was when he was winning the fight, he was dominating. When Jimmy Crute was winning the fight, he was kind of just grinding it out a little bit. You know what I mean? He was struggling to hold Manafield down for a lot of the exchanges. He didn't really do too much when he had him down. You know what I mean? He spent a lot of the time just trying to keep him down. He didn't land too much ground and pound. He didn't, get too many submission attempts. As for Manafield, when it was on the feet, he completely dominated the entire time, beginning to end. So I feel like you
Yeah, I
could
get
kind
that. Yeah, I get that. I mean,
of
when Crute was taking him down, I mean, he was freaking just trying to survive.
yeah,
So
yeah. It was a survival thing. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like he was taking him down and holding him down for his own survival because if he knew he knew if it got back up on the feet, he wasn't going to do too well.
All right.
I
So
and yeah, I
go ahead.
fucking
All right.
no,
So
yeah, I think he's going to fight, but it was just the point. That was all.
all right. So next fight, Justin Tafa knocks out Parker Porter 1 minute 6 seconds into the first round. I have the stats pulled up. Total strikes: Tafa landed 8 strikes. Parker landed 7. All strikes. All the fights. I mean, all the strikes in the fight were significant strikes. Every single one of them.
Big boy.
yeah,
How
they
do you
were
guys
throwing
like that? It
down.
was a clean knockout.
It was a very clean knockout.
I don't. Okay, I don't know if I'm not too familiar with Parker Porter. I don't know if you guys were getting the same
Yeah, no,
kind
I
of
don't know.
vibe I was
I never
getting.
seen him
Yeah,
before.
he. I don't know if you guys were getting the same kind of vibe I was getting, but he looked really awkward in there.
Yeah, he was swinging
Like I
very
don't.
wild, very wide.
His movement was like he had a really slow, methodical kind of like forward movement, but he's not really too fast. All his punches were kind of labored over the top, kind of ducking his head. Like Justin Tafa came in there like super composed. He was so relaxed.
Well, he was
Came
ready.
out.
He's had a few big fights, so he wasn't the moment didn't get too big for him being in that spot
That,
on the card.
that was the thing that stood out to me. Like he was the most composed human being on the whole card. He came out. He was so relaxed, and he made it look easy, man. He kept that perfect range, that perfect distance. Looked for a couple counter shots. Parker, overextended, and he got put away. And it was pretty. He made it. Justin Tafa made it look pretty fucking easy, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and
Like the
all of his
distance, everything was all perfect.
all of his fights are pretty fun. Like all of his fights that I've seen, they've always ended in either him knocking someone out or him getting knocked out. So all of his fights are fun to watch.
Dan
I
Henderson.
love those type of guys. Yeah, it's like Nico Price also. All these I love those guys because you're always gonna see a fight when they fight. You're gonna at least get some entertainment.
I know, man. You don't give a fuck if they win or not, man. You just want to see them. You
Hmm
just want to see somebody get knocked out.
It's like
You know
It's
somebody's
like
gonna
Michael
get knocked
Chandler.
out.
Yeah, Michael Chandler. All of them.
Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje. I love watching those. Yeah, man. You just know somebody's gonna get knocked
Hmm
out, man. You don't care who wins.
Yep, it was the same
You just
like
want to see a fucking knockout.
back in the day. Back in the day, for people who for the OGs, someone like Diego Sanchez would be like that. You didn't care if he won or lost. You knew you were getting a war when Diego Sanchez was fighting.
Yeah, man. I think that's the big thing for me with a lot of these, especially the new age fans and the way fighting is now. You just gotta be exciting, man. Nobody gives a shit if you win or lose.
Hmm
You just gotta go in there and
Yep, you need to
fucking do
win.
something
You need to
crazy.
win to make it to the top. But once you're there, if you put on good fights, it doesn't matter. The UFC will keep
Yeah,
you around. People will still want to watch you
yeah.
fight. It doesn't really matter.
As a professional fighter, you need like before you sign a big contract to UFC or Bellator or something like that, you have to win. Winning is very important. But once you get to the big show, you still have to win. But once you get into the big show, it's more about branding yourself. Once you're there, it's more about being an exciting fighter, being marketable, being for the fans, talking a bunch of shit, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to talk a bunch of shit. You just have to be exciting. You know what I mean?
Hmm
There's guys in the UFC that haven't won
Here.
a fucking fight in years, but they're just exciting as hell. You know what I mean?
Yair's just, I mean, Yair's a great fighter, but he never talks crap.
Yeah, man.
He's just his talent.
You just have to be exciting. That's all, man.
hmm
You don't have to be the best fighter in the world. You don't have to be the pound for pound whatever. Once you get there, you just got to be exciting, man. You got to be exciting, and you got to win fights too. You can't be 0-8, but you know what I mean. It's not as much about winning every fight once you get to the top as it is on the way to the top. Once you're there, you're there. You just gotta, just keep being you and fucking be exciting, make money.
All right, Dom. Did you have any comments on the Justin Tafa fight?
Um, there was just one thing that I seen every time Porter got into range in the danger zone, he was dropping his hands. So I kind of seen that he was gonna get knocked out. I figured he was every time he got inside because he had the shorter reach. I'm pretty sure he was the one really propelling himself. Tafa was just sitting back waiting to counter. And every time he got in his range, he kept dropping his hands. So I figured that he was gonna get knocked out.
It looked like a huge hand speed advantage in that fight too. Like Tafa's hands were just way quicker. Like he could get a
Yeah,
3 combination out before Parker can get two. You know?
he looked labored, to be honest with you. He looked like a real heavyweight, and Tafa didn't really look labored at all.
Do you think him being a little bit more like heavy in the midsection kind of hurts his mobility a little bit? There's like Tafa's a heavyweight too, but he doesn't have as much weight on his midsection to carry around. You know what I mean? He's a little freely he can move around a lot more freely than it looked like Parker
Yeah,
could.
his weight is more equally spread throughout his body. His arms are bigger, his legs. I know what you mean, but I don't know. I don't think that's it. I just don't think he's that athletic. I just don't think I don't know.
Yeah, he's not that physically gifted.
Because there's a few people with big stomachs, big guts, and they can move still. They're still very athletic. Like there was one in the Ultimate Fighter. I'm not saying he's a great fighter, but he was. Even look at Chris, the exciting guy who dances after every time he wins.
Hmm
He's throwing wheel kicks, spinning back
Oh
kicks.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, that big guy. I
he's
remember
He's doing a little front flip
yeah.
to his butt.
There's just yeah. There's just some people that are athletic,
him.
naturally gifted, and then some people that aren't. I mean, you just use what you can to further your career,
Bro,
perfect what you're good at.
could you imagine being like 280 pounds at like 5 foot. How tall is that dude? Like 5'7",
Yeah, he's
and
not
being
very
able to
tall.
do like a fucking spinning back kick, bro. That's
He's
crazy.
dude.
That's
I've
crazy.
trained with him before, and he's scary, bro. He's a monster. Like you wouldn't expect it, but he's fast like a freaking welterweight.
He's only had a few
Oh,
fights in the
he-
Quick
UFC,
like a
but
welterweight, bro. He is so quick. He moves really
Mhm.
well. Oh my god. He just doesn't keep his
There's
hands
some
up.
people,
But that's
bro.
that
Look, there's some
Taekwondo
people.
background.
There's some people that are like that, bro. There's some people that are born big, and they're just big, but they're just athletic. They're just as athletic as everybody else. It's weird. There's some people like that, man. Like I've come across a couple, like in high school.
all right,
Yeah.
moving on to the next fight. Jack Della Maddalena knocked out Randy Brown, or submission. I'm sorry. He knocked him down, and went and got the submission. 2 minutes and 13 seconds into the first round. How'd you guys see that? I thought Randy Brown. I knew Randy Brown was gonna be more crafty. I thought Jack was gonna catch him later when he got more tired because Randy Brown moves around a lot, but he got caught along the fence, tried to circle around, and got caught with a punch and got dropped. He got his
Yo,
little
Jack
yeah.
Jack looked good, bro. Jack looked really freaking good. Like he just stayed composed. Randy was really just trying to touch him up in the beginning,
Mhm.
keep his length and all that, use his long stature. But Jack just kept waiting, trying to figure out the reach, and the one time that he pounced after a combination Randy threw, it was pretty much over. Clipped him and finished the fight from there. It was a great performance, and that guy's gonna be really good.
Yeah, he had like Bambi
Yo,
legs for a little bit, almost fell on his freaking face.
He did the chicken dance, boy.
yeah,
Mhm.
you were watching that fight at the beginning. You get the impression that Randy Brown is just more talented. He's got bigger reach. He's a way bigger guy. Better movement. Jack had a really hard time figuring out the range there. In for a little bit, but there's a thing, man. You could have better head movement, better footwork, better distance, better strike. Yeah, everything. Jack just has that what the hell power. You know what I mean? It didn't really
Well,
matter.
he just hit him in the right spot, really. I just think that
Yeah, he
he
landed
got
one
caught. Like he was
one
waiting.
shot,
He
man.
waited for the perfect moment. Like it was a
I
masterclass.
know. He waited around for it took him a while to figure out the range, to figure out the distance. He was waiting around for Randy, letting Randy throw his shots. So he's like, all right, he likes this shot, he likes that shot. I'm gonna do he was looking for his openings, and as soon as like the literal first opening he found, it was over. It was literally was it the first punch he landed,
First
bro?
punch he threw. Well,
The
the
first
first
punch he
punch he
threw, dude.
landed.
It,
Because I think he threw.
No, I
I
mean, I
don't.
think the first punch he actually like threw to land though.
Mhm.
Like the first punch he
Yeah,
actually
because
threw to
I
land.
think his first punch was a was a cross, and then I think he got him up against the fence and then threw a hook over the top and clipped him.
It
Yeah,
was
it
a
was.
counter hook, right?
Yeah, it was mostly Randy Brown up until that point because Randy was moving around a lot. Jack couldn't really get it. He was having a hard time getting inside up until Randy got caught up against the cage, which is where he got dropped.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a
He just
masterclass,
he just
man. He looked like he was really just trying to find the range, and once he found it, it was over.
Mhm.
I mean you gotta think nobody just fucking one shots Randy Brown like that though. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Well, he's been
Like that
clipped, but
He
his
did get
movement
knocked
is so
out by
slick.
he got knocked out by that crazy knockout from Nico Price where he was on the bottom and he hammer fisted him to the side of the head and KO'd him.
when was that one?
That
Was that
was
recent?
no, that
Nah,
was
that
a
was a
while
while
ago.
ago.
That was a while
When was
ago.
it one?
But yeah, Nico Price
I
was on the
remember that.
ground. He started hammer fisting him to the side of the head and knocked him out clean. I think that was the only time. I know Randy
I
Brown.
don't
He
think
also
I
got
saw
knocked out by Vicente Luque also. But I think that's it. I think he got knocked out by those two, and I think that's it.
knockouts.
What was that?
Like were they quick or was it a fight before that?
I'm not
Were they
sure.
like did he get starched? I
Against
don't think I.
Against Nico Price, yeah, he got knocked out cold, but it wasn't like on the feet; it was on the ground. I don't know about the Luque one. I don't remember the Luque fight.
But
I
I
don't
feel
think
like
it
that
really.
Nico Price fight was before Randy Brown was really growing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it was.
right now, at this moment, Randy Brown looked like a contender in that division.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen Randy Brown just get starched in the first round. I don't think I've ever seen that
No,
happen to him.
no, no. He was. I think he was winning. I'm not sure if he was winning the fight against Nico Price, but he was on top, dominating the position on the ground. And then it wasn't until Nico Price just switched into some awkward position and started hammer fisting his face and knocked him out that way. Nico Price has like multiple of those weird knockouts like that. All right, move on to the co-main event. Yair Rodriguez submits Josh Emmett in the second round, 4 minutes 19 seconds of the second round. Yair looked really good in this fight. He looked very quick. He was putting together really, really nice combinations, and Josh Emmett just seemed like he just couldn't get in there. He couldn't get in the game. Yair Rodriguez just was too much.
It was fucking domination from beginning to end. You could tell there was a big difference in hand speed. There was a big difference in range, distance. Yair just had Emmett just could not figure out how to get inside. Yair, anytime he had any forward movement, Yair was hitting him with straight punches, kicks, like from every angle. Emmett was just, you could tell Emmett, he was really just trying to duck that head, trying to find like a counter over the top or something to the body, put some combinations together, but he just couldn't figure out the range, man. It was a dominant performance. Yair Rodriguez was just from top to bottom a better fighter. He was quicker, faster, more elusive. Yeah, it was dominant, man.
Yeah, I liked how Yair used his punches to get in and finish. Every combination he finished was with a kick. It was beautiful to watch. He would start with the 1-2 or a 3-2, finish with a leg kick, finish with a body kick when he was trying to move when Emmett was trying to move out of range. It was a striking masterclass, and every time they were long, they were in space. Yair was using his kicks to keep Emmett away. Don't let him, because really the only thing Emmett's looking for is that overhand right, off of a blitz. He was just gonna. That's how he knocks everyone out. He blitzes and hits him with an overhand right, a sneaky overhand right. Yair was just keeping away with kicks, and Emmett couldn't really find the range to land one of his power punches.
That was a masterclass in fucking
Range
ring
distance.
general. Like it's the same thing when you see with Adesanya when he goes up against these big muscle guys like Paulo Costa and stuff. It's just ring general shit, man. He knows he's never just moving backwards. He's moving back one, over one. He's moving in a circle. He's moving away from the power hand. He's the big thing that I noticed is that he never stopped moving. He was moving left as soon as Emmett started cutting the angle. He moved right, and then he was moving left, and then he was moving right. He was moving back when Emmett came forward. Like it was just straight up ring generalship, cage generalship. Like Emmett couldn't close the distance at all.
Yeah, it was a absolute masterclass by Yair. It wasn't expected. This is by far the best he's looked of his career. It's so crazy because you see this performance and you think like, how did Max Holloway outstrike him? You just wonder like how, because Yair just looked so good in that fight.
Well, Max is one of those guys where he's just as long as he's just as long as Rodriguez. His hands are just as fast as Rodriguez, and he's one of those guys that's a volume puncher too. You know, Josh Emmett isn't really known for that. He's known for, you know, he's gonna hit the counter strike and knock you out, or he's gonna apply pressure and you know put really 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 heavy hands, heavy combinations to the body, to the head. But Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez, they just bah, 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 and they're moving around. Their head is moving. They're keeping range distance, and they're just throwing volume for the whole fight. So they're very similar in that way, as to where Josh Emmett, he's more timid. He's waiting for a counter shot or a knockout, and Yair's just not giving it to him. He's not giving him the openings. He's sticking that jab, giving kicks. I think Max Holloway is a better matchup. It's just more of a similar style than where Josh Emmett's just more of like Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, props to Josh Emmett though, because who would have thought, he would have come this far from after he got his face smashed in by Jeremy Stevens? Who would have thought he would have come and worked his way up? Hard too. He had some hard fights on his way back up and work his way up to a title shot. So props to Josh Emmett.
Yeah. Rodriguez too. You remember when he got his ass beat by Frankie Edgar?
Yep.
That was a one-sided beatdown. But I think it's just, they were young, and now, it was the same with Charles Oliveira. When Charles Oliveira was young, he was getting his ass beat, but it just takes years to evolve, learn, and gain experience. And those guys are at that point now where they're ready. They're ready to contend for the title.
Okay. So Islam wins by, what was it, unanimous decision?
Yeah.
In a very close fight. I think Volk just kind of handed this one away. Not knowingly, but he kind of did. I had Islam winning the first and the second round, and then clearly won the fourth. And I think one of the judges gave Islam a 10-8 that round, which I don't really agree with, but I'm pretty sure he got a 10-8 for the fourth round for one judge.
I think I got the scorecards right here. Let me see.
Yeah, I had Islam round one, round two. Volk was good, man. Volk was looking really good at the beginning. He was hurting Islam. I think Islam even got wobbled in the very beginning of the fight, but then he got dropped. He got overzealous. He was coming in too much. He was too predictable the way he was coming in. And Islam being fresh, he was able to counterpunch, and he dropped Volk to a knee, I think, in the first round. And the second round, I think he dropped him hard, or he might have dropped to a knee the second round, but I know he got dropped twice, one in each round, which I think that's what won Islam those rounds. And then the fourth round was the one where he had him in the body triangle the whole round, 5 minutes, and I think he had him controlled for 4 minutes of those 5 minutes. He had him down.
Yeah, so I have the scorecard here right now. There was no 10-8s, no 10-8
No
scored.
10-8s. Okay.
But the first judge had it 1, 2, and 4 for Islam.
Mm-hmm.
The second judge, which he's blind, he had the first 4 rounds for Islam. When I already know Islam clearly lost the third. And then again, the third judge had it 1, 2, 4 for Islam, which I thought was what Islam got. I think Islam won. First round was the closest round, I believe, but I believe he won that. The second round he won, and the fourth, I mean, he was dominant in the fourth. Just had that body triangle around him. Volk pretty much gave up that round.
This fight's really weird, right? Because it's one of those fights to where it's like, yeah, we all know Islam won on the scorecards, but I mean, come on, Alexander Volkanovski won the fight. At the end of the fight, like if we're talking about like Islam Makhachev won the fight on the scorecards, and if you ask me as a judge who won the fight, Islam Makhachev. But as a fan, like forget the scorecards, forget technically he landed this many and he did this much and this and this and that and this and that. As a fan, everybody knows Volkanovski won. Look how the fight ended. The fight ended. Islam quit, man. He gave up. He had enough. At the end of the fight, Islam was on his back. Alexander was on top, Khabibing him. Straight up Islaming Islam, bro. Like, so man, when you look at the scorecards, yeah, Islam won more rounds. I think Alexander could have won the fight. He kind of gave away in the fourth round. We were talking about this off. We were talking about this off air. We talked about this yesterday a little bit. When Alexander Volkanovski, they were kind of on the ground and kind of what do you want to say, like not like a 50-50. Islam had him down by the waist, and Alexander was trying to get up, and he turned around and started talking shit to Islam's corner.
As he was crawling to the cage, but it was too late. Islam climbed him.
He wasn't paying attention. He turned around and he spent a good 2 seconds, instead of moving, he spent a good 2 seconds literally just talking to Islam's cage, and Islam took his back and kept his back for the whole round.
There was another one of those. I don't remember what round, but I remember they were clinching in the center of the octagon, Volk, for some reason, I don't know why, he turned back and started saying something, and as soon as he did it, Islam did an inside leg trip, took him down. If you don't do that, you just focus on the fight, you don't get taken down.
Yeah, Alex. Alex. I mean, he had his legs from the front. Alexander was turning around, he was about to try to bring his bottom leg out from underneath his body and start trying to get up, and he started talking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Islam grabbed him, held him for. And it's like if. And who knows? You know what I mean? Islam did have a hold of his legs. Who knows if he wouldn't have gotten him down anyways? But you got to think Alexander's kicking himself in the ass for that, right?
Yeah, he's
Like,
gonna watch this fight back, and he's just gonna think like, all right, I was doing a little bit too much. I was in situations where I kind of let him have the advantage when I should have just been more focused on the fight and more focused on what I was doing.
because if Volk's paying attention and he manages to get up in that exchange, he probably wins the fight, right? If he's not on his back for the entire fourth round, he probably wins the fight, right?
Yeah, he was winning the round. He was winning well, Islam was winning the exchanges in the beginning in the stand up, but from the third round on, Volk was coming on big with the striking. He was landing some much cleaner shots because I think Islam was tiring due to the pressure of Volk. So yeah, if he doesn't get taken down, he doesn't get held in that body triangle for the whole round. There's a good argument for him that he could have really won this fight because even the fifth round, he just completely dominated that round.
Yeah, we were saying that last night, man. We were saying when the first 3 rounds were over, we were all in agreement. If Volkanovski wins the next 2 rounds, he wins the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he was that fourth round. If you go back and watch the fourth round, dude, he was doing great. He was doing good, man. Volkanovski was doing good, and then he gave up his back. But even when he did have his back given up, I don't think that's what necessarily lost him the round because Makhachev didn't do shit that whole time. Dude,
It's dominant position.
I think that's what people are arguing about.
I think it was the submission attempt. Now it was the time he had all that time on Volkanovski's back, but Volkanovski was exploding his face, dude. Like Makhachev didn't do nothing from his back. Volkanovski was throwing heavy shots, and Islam was eating them. I think it was the time on the dominant position with he had the dominant position all the time, and then at the end he had that really, 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 really strong kind of submission attempt, and that kind of solidified the round.
Well, he was swimming for the neck, but I don't know. I don't see how a ref can give Volk a round when Islam has his back, has dominant position, and yes, Volk was throwing punches, but those aren't really punches that can hurt a MMA fighter. Like, I'm sorry, but he's punching him in the top of the head. Like, he's not those punches really don't hurt. Like, he'll be able to eat those for days. So I don't know, man.
What I'm saying is, even though he's on his back, he's still doing damage, and Makhachev isn't doing anything. Makhachev is just swimming for the choke, and he's not going anywhere with it. Like
yeah, but the thing is though is that there's always a chance that if Volk would have slipped up once and raised his chin, the fight was over. So that's what you're thinking. You're thinking Islam is in a dominant position to where he can finish the fight. Volk is just doing damage. He can't finish the fight in that position.
Yeah, the fourth round was a clear example of the UFC rules getting the better of them because Islam has the control, but Volk is landing the strikes. So I think it depends on like a judge to judge basis. What do they consider more dominant? Islam holding onto a body triangle, not really landing anything, not really doing much, or Volk being held in a body triangle, landing multiple strikes because he outstruck him 49-19. He heavily outstruck him. But what do you consider as more, the punching from Volk or the control from Islam?
Well, you got to think about it like this too. If you just take that in isolation, if you just say, okay, Islam Makhachev has Volkanovski in a body lock for 1 round, right? And Volkanovski is landing punches that whole round, and Makhachev isn't doing shit that whole round, then I'd give it to Volkanovski. But there's a whole lot of other things that you have to take into account when it comes to that exchange too. Yeah, Volkanovski has gotten his back taken and he's landing the strikes, but it didn't start out that way. Islam had to land the takedown defense. He had to get Volkanovski in his position, take the back, so that's more points. He had to stay on the back the whole time and then finish with a submission. So if it was just like it started out with they fell onto the ground and Volkanovski landed on his back and he was landing strikes the whole time, then yeah, but you got to give Makhachev credit for landing the takedown. You got to give Makhachev credit for taking the back. You got to give Makhachev credit for everything. So for everything else that happened. So I don't disagree with the judges. Or with how that was scored. I think Makhachev won that round, but what I'm saying is, that's just in technical terms. I'm saying I think it's very obvious that Makhachev technically won this fight, but I think it is also just as obvious that Volkanovski won the fight kind of in a different way. Like, if you want to say morally or whatever.
Well, that's only because he's a smaller guy, and at the end he was beating the shit out of him. But I just feel like that specific round, you can compare it to two different things. Like if you're saying, oh, he's causing him damage, but even though he has his back, he's causing him damage. He should have won at least that position. He should have got. Or I would just say win that position. It's not like the Yair case when Emmett had him, took him down, had him in guard, and Yair was elbowing him, like devastating elbows. That's different. That could finish a fight. They're pretty much in. I mean, granted, Emmett is on top, so he has a more dominant positioning, but that's a 50-50 position. Yair could get up, Yair could switch the position. Really, when you're on someone's back in a body triangle, it's too dominant. And those punches that he was landing weren't devastating. They were just it was just touching him. And with Islam swimming for the
Some of them were really heavy shots. Now, they weren't heavy enough to knock him out, obviously, from that position. But, man, some of them go back and watch, man. Some of them shots were fucking heavy. Islam took a couple shots off of Volkanovski landed a couple shots off of his back that made Islam, like, turn his head. Like, damn. Like,
well, of course, no one wants to get punched in the head repeatedly. Even if they aren't hard, you're not going to freaking let someone punch you in the head repeatedly.
But some of those shots were, even though Volkanovski,
yes, but they weren't going to end the fight, though. That's the thing.
I'm not saying
no, I know this, but
he did do a pretty good amount of damage. That's all.
But what I'm saying is, if you're willing to give Volk the positioning, I feel like the damage that he did would have had to been fight ending, because Islam was in a position to where if Volk would have slipped up once, he would have ended the fight.
Nobody is saying I'm not saying that Islam didn't win the round or he wasn't in a more dominant position. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it wasn't an absolute, it's not like Islam fucking won the round. Like, it was so decisive. He had his back the whole time, so Islam just won. Like, it wasn't like that. Even though Islam had his back the whole time, that round was still close as fuck because of what Volkanovski did while he was on top. It was still, one had dominant position, and the other one was landing punches. So it goes not, like I'm saying, it still goes to Makhachev because he has dominant position. He landed the takedown. You know what I mean? All the positives go to Makhachev. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. But
you're saying it's not a dominant round. In my opinion, it is. Like, the punches really weren't. To me, the punches aren't significant at all.
If you just take somebody's back and just lay there for the whole round, that's not a dominant round.
Okay, but it's not like he was just holding his arms down and not doing anything. He was swimming for a choke. Yes, it wasn't working, but he was trying to finish the fight.
Dummy. I was there. I saw him swimming for the choke and trying to finish the fight. But
then that doesn't mean he wasn't doing anything. If you're swimming for a choke, you're trying to finish the fight. He's not doing anything.
Yeah, Dominic, but like
just because he didn't get the choke. Okay, yes, you can see you're saying just because he didn't get the choke, he wasn't doing anything.
No, but just doing stuff doesn't mean you win. If I throw a bunch of punches at you and none of them land, and you don't throw and like it doesn't mean I
This is a
win.
totally different. This is a totally different argument because
I know that's
it's
what I'm
just
saying. All I'm saying is it's not like, oh my God, Makachev had his back the whole time and he was dominating. It's a fucking 10-8 round.
okay, but
What I'm
nobody,
saying is
no, nobody said that.
rounds.
I'm just saying that nobody after. Let me just say this: after the fourth round, did anybody believe Volk won that round? I believe nobody believed that Volk won that round, which means that it was a dominant round. I'm not saying it's a 10-8, but he decisively won the round because of the positioning and the way he was going about the positioning. He wasn't just holding his arms there.
Okay. You know what? I'll say this to make you happy. He decisively won the round, but it wasn't a dominant win. He didn't dominantly win the round.
I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying it was a 10-8 round.
No,
I'm just
I
saying he
said
had the dominant positioning and he was swimming for a finish.
no.
He was
I
trying to
mentioned.
finish the fight.
I just thought I just
No,
mentioned the 10-8 because
I know that.
one of the judges had like Volk down by 1 extra point. So I just assumed that they thought that round was a 10-8 just because it was very clear that Volk really only won rounds 3 and 5. So I thought that they made that round 4 a 10-8, which I didn't agree with. I just thought that judge did that. So that's how
No,
why I
that
brought up the
judge gave
10-8.
Islam the third round.
Yeah. I just thought that because of that scorecard, I was like, no way Islam got the third round. So I just assumed that they gave him a 10-8 that round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I'm saying Islam Makhachev won the round. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it wasn't this crazy dominant. He had dominant position for the whole round.
Yep. At the end of the
I
day,
agree.
I think
I'm
if
just
people
saying it
go
wasn't
back and watch the
it
fight,
wasn't a dominant win.
I think if people go back and watch the fight, they'll realize, Islam, he won that fight. Yeah,
If
If this was a street fight, if this was a fight on the street, take away the judges, you would think Alex won the fight. But because there's judges, because there's rounds, you have to win rounds. You can win all 4 rounds. It doesn't matter if you almost get finished 10 times the 5th round, you still win the fight. At the end of the day, Islam won more rounds, so he gets the nod.
if you want to go by technicality and the rules, absolutely, Islam Makhachev won the fight. But if that same fight had just happened on the streets and forget the octagon and the rules, everybody would be saying Volkanovski won.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think in the fans' heart, Volkanovski won, but the fans also know in real life when you look at the numbers, Makhachev won that fight.
But it was also, I mean, it's a morality, it's a moral victory for Volk because I mean, he went up to fight the champ at 155. The champ struggles to make the weight, so he's huge for that division and did a great job in the fight. Like I think, to be honest with you, I think if they fight again, I think Volk's gonna win. I think Volk, even though he lost, he showcased why he's the pound for pound best in the world. I think he's the #1 fighter in the world. I think Islam is #2, but I just think Islam won the fight just based off the rounds that he won. He won 1, 2, and 4. He wins the fight. That's it. But
Yeah,
I think Islam should be happy with, or sorry, Volk should be happy with his performance. And if they fight again, I think Volk should be the favorite. I think Volk will win.
They will. They'll do it again for sure. It was too good of a fight, and if Islam defends the title, Volk will go back down. If Volk defends the title and Islam defends his title, they'll do it again because of how good the fight was and how close it was. They'll do it again.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's gonna be a long time though because after this tough, if Connor wins, that's the next fight. They're not doing a Volk fight.
Yeah.
That Connor Islam fight is gonna be next. So it's hard to see what's gonna be the future.
They might rematch eventually. Look, this is one of those fights where there's no losers in this fight. Like Volkanovski, if anything, it's kind of weird, right? Because you get the vibe in the MMA community right now that you almost get the vibe that Volkanovski won. Like you almost get like if anything, Volkanovski's stock went even higher, even though he lost. And Makhachev's stock dropped a little bit.
Oh yeah, he definitely in a way got exposed in a way.
People were expecting Makhachev, including myself. Now I expected Volkanovski to put up a good fight, But I expected Makhachev to win this fight pretty clearly. Eventually, I thought the size would just be too much. I thought the pressure would be too much, and it just wasn't. Volkanovski had more heart. He had more grit. He fucking.
He fought.
It was a good fight. I come out of this fight with the exact same impression that Dominic has. I come out of this fight still thinking that Volkanovski is the pound for pound number one. Even though I still think he lost the fight, I still think he's a pound for pound number one. I think he's a better fighter. And I come out with the same conclusion. I agree with Dominic. Nobody lost. This fight has no losers. If anything, Volkanovski's coming out of this fight looking even better to the fans than he did going into it, even though he lost.
Yep. This is one of those fights where you just kind of wish there was a 6th round. You just wish there was.
Volk would have won if it was 6th round. Islam was done after that 5th.
Did you see the end of that last round, dude? Islam was done. He was done, bro. He was like, bro,
he was out of it.
He was like, I cannot believe. You could see it in his face. He was like, I cannot believe I can't put this little fucking man away. I can't believe it. And then freaking, dude, what a moment at the end of the fight. You could tell, like I kind of feel like Volkanovski was pushing for this more than he needed to, because if he had focused more on just winning the fight, he probably could have done better. But you could tell throughout the fight, he just wanted to land one takedown on Islam so bad. He just wanted one. He's like,
almost had one.
I'm going to take Islam down. And when he did at the end of the 5th round, it was so crazy because he took him down. And that was the first time you ever seen
Islam. I thought Islam took him down and then he just reversed it.
I can't remember, but like all I know is that
I
at the
remember
end,
him taking him down, but he was on top.
I think he took him down. I think Volk took him down, but at the end of the round, Volk was on top, beating his ass, and that was the first time you've ever seen anybody doing that to anyone out of Khabib's camp. You never seen Khabib on his back getting his ass beat. You never seen Islam on his back getting his ass beat. So, yeah, man, you got to give it to Volkanovski, man. That was fucking incredible. That was an incredible. I don't even care that he lost.
But I don't know, man. I think another thing too, and at first I thought it was like I thought it was like well, it doesn't matter. Habib's in his corner. He's gonna do what he does regardless. Islam's gonna do what he does regardless, and Habib not being in his corner isn't gonna matter. But after seeing what Habib told, well, we didn't see exactly what he told Islam, but just seeing the feedback Habib had, and Islam did say that Habib was getting on his ass for a lot of things that he did wrong, and all Islam could say is, if you were there, I would have knew not to do that. So I feel like it just depends, man. Islam was doing a lot of things, at least in Habib's hands or Habib's eyes, that really swayed the fight the other way somewhat. And if he had Habib in his corner, it could have been more dominant. But I don't know.
Who knows if it was because of that? I think that probably played a little bit of a role. You know, Khabib not being there, just because Khabib's been there for Islam's entire life. You know what I mean? Khabib's never not been there. Khabib's always been there. Khabib's father has always been there. So who knows if that played a little bit of a role? But you could tell, at least, you could 100% tell that Makhachev, he was definitely caught off guard. He was not expecting Alexander. He was not expecting Alexander Volkanovski to be this good. Like,
no, of course, especially that naturally strong. Like you have to have some kind of strength to keep Islam from taking you down. And even though he took him down a few times, I'm talking about taking him down and staying down there. He really didn't stay on the ground, at least on the bottom. Yes, he had his back taken, but that's different. I'm talking about when you take someone down and have that top position and lay on them. Islam didn't do that the entire fight, and that's really shocked me.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how different it is. Like, people just think, oh no, man, Islam and Khabib, they're just really good wrestlers. No. It's not really good wrestling. It's different. What they do is different. The pressure that they apply to people is unlike anything you can get from like a regular ass wrestler from the streets. It's different. So for Volkanovski to keep Islam, not just keep Islam from staying on top of him, but literally dude, he stuffed so many takedowns off the cage, like he got up, reverse position, you can't say enough for. I don't think people realize
For how
how
small
hard
he
it,
is too, like for the
hard.
size difference.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how hard it is to do what Volkanovski did. Like you have to have superhuman strength and endurance to do what Volkanovski did, to just fucking stalemate a guy like Islam Makhachev, this guy that's been this insane wrestler for 20 plus years. I agree. I agree. I don't, when it comes to this Volkanovski thing, I 100% agree. He's still number one in my eyes, my opinion.
Okay, I wanted to move on to the next pay-per-view, UFC 285, Jones versus GANE. I just wanted to, we'll just briefly talk about it. We'll give the week of the fights, we'll give our actual predictions and go deeper into the fights. We got Bo Nickel, the first fight on the pay-per-view. We got Bo Nickel taking on Jamie Pickett. They have Bo Nickel posted as 2-0, but I'm pretty sure he's 3-0. He had 2 of the Contender Series fights, and then he had a fight outside his first fight as a pro, where he got a quick first-round knockout. How do you guys see that fight coming? Jamie Pickett's on a 2-fight losing streak, and this is Bo Nickel's first fight in the UFC. He's getting a test. I think they're gonna try to shoot him quickly to a title because he is older. He's not gonna have that much years in the UFC, and because of his name, he's very popular. His very first fight, 4th fight as a pro, they're putting him on a pay-per-view, so he's a big name.
Well, he's a big draw, but this is an easy fight for him. They put him up against a striker who really isn't that good of a striker. And he has some jiu-jitsu, Jamie Pickett does, but he has no answer for this, for the wrestling that Bo Nickel is gonna put on him. I think this is gonna be an easy fight for Bo Nickel. I think he's gonna finish the fight. He's gonna take him down, pepper him up, and then finish him with a rear naked choke. Or I think it's gonna be a rear naked choke. I think Bo Nickel has this one easy in the first or second round. I'm thinking the first round, but it could go to the second round. Jamie Pickett is a tough fighter, but Bo Nickel got this one easily.
This is one of those things, right, where the Bo Nickel's this big name. The UFC knows what they have in him, and they're gonna, they're gonna try to push him to a couple quick and easy wins to try to get his name out there before they start putting him against elite competition. But you never know. I mean, this is the UFC. This is a completely different level from what he's used to, and we're gonna see. We're gonna see right away if he's a star or not. And I think he could be. So I agree with Dom. It's gonna be a dominant victory. This is his first fight. They do this when whenever they have a superstar, his first fights usually his first 2 or 3 fights are usually gimmies, and then they start putting them against higher level competition. So I don't know. First test, let's see how it goes. I think he'll win.
All right, and this next one I think is the first real potential for fight of the night. Real potential. We got Jeff Neal coming off of that crazy impressive knockout against Vicente Luque, and he's taking on the biggest favorite of the card, Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is 16-0 with a 100% finishing rate. He has 8 knockouts and 8 submissions. 16-0. So I think this could have a potential of being fight of the night because Jeff Neal has some really, really nice highlights, really good knockouts, and Rakhmonov is no slouch, 16-0 with a 100% finishing rate. Seems to be well-rounded with 8 submissions, 8 knockouts. What do you guys think?
I think it's like the same thing that that Antonio said about I forgot. Oh, Cody Garbrandt. Jeff Neal is kind of not in the level of Garbrandt getting knocked out or losing straight, but Jeff Neal is an on and off fighter. I feel like some nights he looks like the best welterweight in the world, and then sometimes he looks a little flat. And I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is gonna really put it on him. It's a really good fight. This is probably, besides the heavyweight fight, I think this is the best fight on the card. But I think Rakhmonov is gonna win this one. I can't give you a prediction whether he's gonna finish him or not, because Jeff Neal is a tough guy, but it's a really good fight. I think Rachmanov is gonna win though.
Man, when you look at 16 fights and 16 finishes, it's really, 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 really hard to deny that. It's really hard to deny that. It's hard to go against that. I mean, you have a guy that's finished 100% of his fights. It's a man that's been dominant for his entire MMA career. You know what I mean? And you know, like Dominic said, when you have a guy in Neal who's inconsistent, he comes in good sometimes, comes in flat other times. You want to put your money on the consistency, and I think that's the smart move. You know, you want the guy with 8 finishes, the guy that's consistent, the guy that goes out there every time and improves and gets better and finishes his food. He finishes his food. He hasn't not finished his food yet, so we going with him.
He
Yep,
cleans his plate, unlike me.
If he wins this fight, if Rachmanov wins this fight, man, we could see him and another fight or two contending for a title. So he could be one to watch out for real. 16-0, 8 knockouts, 8 submissions. Seems very, very well rounded. And that's in the 170 welterweight. A pretty stacked good division, man. He could be in some really fun fights.
Yeah, and he hasn't really gotten tested, I feel like. He's like, honestly, he's in that I'm not calling him Habib, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about like pretty much an unknown fighter that's getting pretty known, that really hasn't gotten tested, has pretty much dominated every fight he's been in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he's a killer, bro. He's a freaking killer. Like I really don't see. I really see him getting a title. If he wins this one, I see him getting a title fight in one of the next 2 fights. I think he has one more top 5 fight, and then he's getting the title shot because he might not be that known yet, but like Habib wasn't that known until he was, and I think he's one of those type of fighters.
I see what you're saying when you bring that up. Like he might be like one of the best fighters in the world. People just don't know it yet.
Yeah, like Habib had to have so many fights just to even get ranked. Like no one really knew him until they did, and I feel like this guy is one of those guys.
Yep. So this fight is definitely the one to look out for. Definitely one to look out for. Could easily be fight of the night or some type of performance of the night. The co-main event: Valentina Shevchenko fighting Alexa Grasso. Valentina is Valentina, the dominant champion, except for she did appear human after this last fight. Very close fight. A lot of people thought she lost. And Alexa Grasso on a 4-fight winning streak. The last fight she lost was against Carla Esparza in a decision. How do y'all see this one going? How do you think of this one?
Alexa Grasso, I'll say this: Alexa Grasso is one of the most talented young girls that I've seen come up in a while. She's been in the UFC for a little while now. It's been a long time. She's been slowly rising up the ranks, and I think she's an incredible talent. But let's be real. Like she stands no fucking chance in this fight, dude. I don't. She's not ready for this. She needs a couple more years. I think she needs to improve a little bit more on the striking still. You know, the grappling. I don't think she's really big enough or strong enough to compete with Valentina in the grappling. Anyways, I don't think she's going to be strong enough to take Valentina down.
Yep, she's moving. It appears she's moving up in weight because she did lose to Carla Esparza, so it appears she's moving up in weight to fight Valentina too.
Yeah, Alexa Grasso is a great talent. I do think she will be a champion one day. This isn't the night. It's not her night. That's my opinion.
All right, what do you think, Dom?
Yeah, I think she's gonna get starched.
I think this is a situation where Valentina's just run out of opponents and they're just
yeah. I think Alexa Grasso is very good. She surprised me with some of the wins that she's pulled off on this win streak, or the win streak that she had. But man, I don't see. She's not a good matchup for Valentina. Valentina is, she punches long. Like her powers at the end of her punches not really coming in. and Alexa Grasso is pretty much a boxer. Like she puts her hands up and tries to block the punches like a boxer. Man, I don't know, man. I feel like Shevchenko's gonna kill her. I'm not gonna lie.
when you look at this fight and you really look at it, right? Because I have a lot of respect for Alexa Grasso. I think she's a great fighter. When you look at this fight, right, and you see all the advantages that Valentina Shevchenko has in this fight, she's bigger, she's a lot faster, she's a lot stronger, she has a lot more experience, especially championship experience against high level competition. And if you look at there are fighters right now that I think can beat Alexa Grasso pretty soundly that Valentina just fucking ragdolled. Like you remember what Valentina did to what's her name? Young Jacek? You remember what she did to Young Jacek? Alexa Grasso is not that much. She's about the same size as Young Jacek. She's not that much bigger, and her striking isn't even close to Young Jacek's. And she's not big enough or strong enough to fuck with Valentina in the grappling. Amanda Nunes was barely big and strong enough to do that, and we know who Amanda Nunes is. Alexa Grasso, this just isn't her night. It just
But
ain't.
I do see. I'm looking at Alexa Grasso's latest fights as well, and she's on a 4-fight win streak, beating Ji Yeon Kim, Macy Barber, Joanne Wood, who's a wrestler, and Viviana Araujo that we just talked about.
I think if
the only people she's lost to, she has 3 losses, and the only 3 losses she's lost to were Carla Esparza, who's a wrestler, Tiana Suarez, who was like a freaking woman Habib until she kept getting hurt, and then Felice Herrick, who's also a wrestler. So I feel like she's only lost against. I feel like she's only lost against wrestlers. I feel like I don't think she's a bad fighter. I just don't think she's not one of the fighters that I can see competing against Valentina. That's just it.
She's a great fighter. Like I said, I think one day she can win the title.
And she's a very tough, gritty fighter. Like she takes a lot of punishment and dishes it out right after. She's one of those fighters that once she gets tagged, she tags right back. She doesn't wait. She's not hesitant. She's very polished. I just don't think she's ready for this challenge.
Yep. I don't think I think if her and Young Jacek were to fight right now, Young Jacek would win a really, really, really close decision, and Valentina just fucking drags Young Jacek, bro. Like she did whatever she wanted to her, and I think it's not going to be too much different here. So,
all right, and then the last in the main event. Don't want to get too deep into it because we'll talk about it heavy come fight week. But we got Jones and CIRYL GANE. GANE opened up as the favorite, but it looks like now Jon has become the favorite to win this fight slightly, -150, so slight favorite.
Just slight favorite.
Yep. It's unfortunate to not see Francis there, but I do think this is a little bit of a better matchup, or more interesting matchup rather, because of the fact that CIRYL GANE made Francis wrestle. So he proved that he has this superior stand-up. So it'll be a real test, a much bigger fighter. Someone even Jon Jones' first fight where the person is actually taller than him.
Really?
And, yep. Jon Jones' first fight where the person is actually taller than him. The only one that came close, I think, was Gustafsson or Dominic Reyes, but they were the same height. This is the first fight where...
What about the reach?
The reach is in favor of Jon Jones, of course. He has 3.5 inches reach advantage.
Okay.
But CIRYL GANE has a really good stand-up game, and he proved that against Francis Ngannou when he made Francis wrestle, because that was the only way he could win that fight, is wrestling and grappling. So I think it's a good test for Jon, man. It's a good step up. I do strongly believe if Jon wins this fight, there is no debate. He's the greatest of all time.
Same. Antonio would think otherwise because he's an idiot, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get more deeply into this, but What do you guys think? Do you guys also agree that this might be a better matchup, like fight wise, or do you like the Francis fight better due to the power? But I just see Francis as more like a more recent Rumble Johnson. That's why like we've been there, we've done that, we've seen that before. CIRYL GANE is something different. Do you
Well,
agree? Do
I
you
don't know. I
disagree?
don't know because I disagree with
Hmm.
at least the Rebel Johnson take because I think, to be honest with you, I think Cyril Gahn is like the Rumble Johnson take. Not that he has that crazy knockout power that Rumble had, but he has no wrestling.
Hmm.
He has no wrestling. John Jones is gonna. Well, let me calm down for a little bit because Cyril Gahn has faced Francis and got wrestled, so that's pretty much all he's been working on most likely. So he could look different against John, but Francis Ngannou is new to this wrestling thing. He's not a polished wrestler like John is. John uses single legs. He mixes it up. He uses chain wrestling real well. He uses up against the cage takedowns. The striking the elbows up against the cage, and then you get to the striking from distance, the kicks that John uses, the the man, I don't know, man. The stance switching. I just think John. I don't see John losing this, man.
Yeah, very well
I
rounded. He has a lot of
really,
weapons.
I really don't. Granted, I haven't seen him at heavyweight, so he could be much slower. Um, but and he's not the prime John Jones that I used to love to see. But I just think that John. I feel like this is an easier matchup than the Ngannou fight because I feel like Ngannou, of course, has better wrestling than Cyril, is stronger. I feel like John would have had a tougher time taking him down, and Ngannou has that knockout power, and it's not like Ngannou punches crazy anymore. The fight against Cyril and the fight against who did he knock out? Stipe? He was punching down the line. He was punching straight. He wasn't doing those crazy overhand rights that he did against the Rosenstrike guy. He at least his coaches were getting him right with punching more. What's the word?
Like a boxer, more fluid,
Yeah,
more.
more fluid. Yeah, I just think with better technique. I think that Nagano was a harder fight for John, for the wrestling aspect and plus the scariness when it comes to the power. I think this is an easier fight for John if he can take him down. If he can take him down, I feel like it's going to be an easier fight because Cyril Gahn is not going to really. I don't think Cyril Gahn would be able to get up if John could take him down.
Okay.
There's, I guess I'll save my who I think is gonna win for when it gets a little bit closer, but I don't know, man. There's just so much to say about this fight, and there's also so many unknowns. You know, John hasn't fought in a long time.
3 years.
We haven't seen him in the cage for years. That's number one.
Is that gonna? Yeah.
Number
Is that a factor?
number two. Number two, well, of course, it's going to be a factor. You know, he hasn't fought in a long time. It's definitely going to be at least a little bit of a factor, but I don't think it's
Hmm.
going to be as much as people think. I think
Hmm.
John Jones is the GOAT for a reason. You know, he has all the experience in the world. He has all you know, I don't think time off is going to be that big of a factor for John Jones. You know, he wouldn't be the GOAT if a little bit of ring rust was going to hold him back from being great. There's so many like I said, there's so many factors about this fight. You know what I mean? The change of opponent, it's unfortunate, but I think it makes for a much more interesting fight. When you look at the John Jones versus Ngannou fight, you know, there's obviously a sense of John Jones can get knocked out in that fight at any time. And that's true for any Francis Ngannou fight, but I don't think that's how the fight would have went. Francis Ngannou had a really, really, really hard time landing shots on Cyril Gahn for a reason. Is because Cyril Gahn didn't leave any openings. There were no openings whatsoever in that entire fight for Francis to come in and capitalize on a counter or any wild punches or anything. Cyril's way too technical, and John Jones is just as technical, if not even more so.
Mm,
So
that's hard, man, because Cyril Gahn was coming in and out before Ngannou can even counter. Like Cyril Gahn's way quicker than John, especially John now at heavyweight. I would feel like Cyril Gahn, even John at light heavyweight is quicker than I think CIRYL GANE at heavyweight is quicker than John at light heavyweight, even in his prime. So I think that's the reason for that. I think that if Ngannou fought him, that it's going to be he would have more openings on John because he doesn't move like that.
Let me get like 10 seconds to finish my explanation a little bit. I think I didn't say John Jones was as fast. I think he's as technical. That's what I said. Those are my words. I think John Jones is just as technical as CIRYL GANE from a fight IQ standpoint, from a foot movement standpoint, head movement standpoint, from a shot selection standpoint. I think they're in the same ballpark as in terms of what they're going to do technically in the fight. I think what makes this fight a little bit more interesting than Francis Ngannou is because I think the fight, even though John Jones isn't as big as CIRYL GANE, I think that fight would have gone a lot the same. John Jones wouldn't leave any openings for Francis Ngannou to capitalize on anything. And Francis Ngannou would have to try to engage John in wrestling. But I think against John Jones, that would put him in more trouble than it did against CIRYL GANE, because he's not just going to be able to dominate John. Even if he's stronger, he's not going to be able to just dominate John Jones in the wrestling. We're talking about a guy that dominated Daniel Cormier in wrestling. Okay, so in this fight, it's going to be a lot of, I can see CIRYL GANE is very similar to John Jones. I could see him coming out. They're both going to come out slow. They're not super aggressive, go take your head off from the rip type of guys. They're going to be very, it's going to be a chess match. It's going to be keeping their distance, who can, land quicker on the counters, who can. I think John is going to do the same thing that he did to what's his name, to Glover Teixeira. John is just so superior in the clinch. I think it'll be a close fight. It's very interesting. It's a lot more interesting than Jones versus Francis Ngannou would have been. I think it's a lot. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think John has a little bit more tools though. CIRYL GANE has the ability to win this fight, but John is he's the GOAT for a reason.
Antonio, thank you for the take, but don't lie to the people, bro. Because we had an argument how long ago that you were saying that Habib's the GOAT. I don't want to hear that.
Listen,
don't lie to the people, dog.
All right, we'll go over this in the next one. We'll go over this when we delve deep into the fight.
We're not going to have this conversation. I never said Khabib is 100% the GOAT over John Jones. I said it's an argument. I think Khabib is probably the best fighter of all time.
All right, we can save it. We can save it for another time. We can make it a topic on another thing. We could go over it.
But I'm just surprised that I didn't realize this. Dominic Reyes was John Jones' last fight, and he didn't look that good in that fight.
Yeah, he didn't look that good in
Dominic Reyes won that fight.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, I thought that I mean, it's been a long time since John has fought, but I thought he had another fight after that. But that's not the case. Dominic Reyes was his last fight, and he didn't look that good in that fight. So now it's kind of scary with a 3-year layoff. I don't know, man. This is going to be tough. This is going to be a really good fight.
A couple fights like that. That's why I'm still a little hesitant to call him the absolute fucking GOAT. But he has a lot of fights that he should have lost that they just gave it to him. You know what I mean? He has 2 or 3 fights like that. So. I mean, you never know. We just watched Alexander Volkanovsky off of 6 months of training go toe-to-toe with Islam Makhachev in the grappling, and so you never know. CIRYL GANE could be that much better in the wrestling, and this could be an even fight, just like they're saying it's basically a pick'em, because Gane has a lot of the same attributes as John Jones on the feet. So if he can improve the wrestling, then it could be a lot closer than we think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll continue this conversation. We'll go more deep into it when it's fight week. The fight is on March 4th, so that fight week we'll talk more about it. We'll give our predictions. Maybe go round by round, try to predict who has the advantage in the beginning of the fight, more towards the end of the fight, things like that. But while we're on the topic of the UFC, there's a fighter who is not only making moves inside the UFC with a good fight against Gilbert Burns coming up, but Jorge Masvidal has come out with his game-bred boxing. And the matchups are... did you guys see that? The game-bred boxing?
I know he has an MMA promotion. I didn't know he had a boxing.
Yep, he just came out with his Game Bred Boxing, and the matchups are very odd, I would say. So they have the third one is the one that I'm really just like, what, how, and why. But they're doing Vitor Belfort versus Jacare Souza, and this is boxing, by the way, boxing. They have Jose Aldo fighting Jeremy Stevens.
Bro, Jose Aldo already beat him
And those are weird, right?
in a striking clash.
But this one is on another level. This one, you would never in a million years think that these two would ever fight. Roy Jones Jr. is fighting Anthony Showtime Pettis.
Oh, I've seen that.
Never in a million years would you think these two would be in the same ring boxing.
You can't even analyze that fight. Like I don't think anybody could even analyze that fight like with any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I could do it. Like
No,
what?
it's just I just wanted to note it because I saw it was great. And the other thing too, Roy Jones has another fight already coming up, so he has signed for two fights, because he's fighting some bodybuilder influencer guy first, and then he's gonna come and fight Anthony Showtime Pettis. So Roy Jones has signed up for two
bodybuilder's
fights.
gonna touch him.
Yeah, no, that fight. Like I at this point, Roy Jones is fighting for more money. I guess he needs it. I don't know.
Does anybody know when Roy Jones Jr. last fight was?
He fought Mike Tyson.
Oh, that's right. He's the one that fought Mike Tyson.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think Mike was Mike wasn't trying to hit him to the head. Mike was only going for body blows. I'm pretty sure it was like a, you know.
What's that fight? It's gonna be at like 180, right? 185
I
or
have
something.
no idea. It's got to be somewhere around there. I have no clue. It doesn't say the weight. It doesn't say anything.
I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not watching those.
They say the fight is on April 1st, so it's almost like they're freaking giving us an April Fool's, like they're gonna trick us last second. But it says tickets go on sale February 17th. So
what? I
guess
I don't know, dude. Like, what can you even say? What is there to even be said about a fight between Anthony Pettis and Roy Jones Jr.?
Yeah, it's so
Like I mean I I don't like what? Like
yeah,
I don't even know what to think.
When I saw that, my mind was blown. I'm like, there's no way these two should be on a poster together. There's no way.
Like but dude, it doesn't even even in TikTok, YouTube, fairy tale boxing world, that doesn't even make sense.
All right, to move on, the last thing I really wanted to talk about, it's not really anything that big. I mean, it is big concerning the circumstances, but it appears like the Tank Davis and Garcia fight is in jeopardy because of stupid petty reasons. It seems like now it's just because of a rematch clause and disagreements with what network is gonna put the fights on and stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's stupid.
They're trying to both be the A side, probably.
Yeah, they're both trying to be the A side, but let's be real. Tank Davis is the A side.
It's the A. You gotta beat Tank to be the A. You can't just have things your way. Yeah, that's not how it works.
But what Ryan doesn't understand, right, is this stuff that's coming out is making him look bad. Even though it's not on him, I've never said that Ryan Garcia is ducking Tank. I never said that Ryan Garcia doesn't want to fight Tank because he's called for it multiple times. But they're making it very obvious that his team doesn't want the fight. They're making it so obvious that his team doesn't want the fight because
it's not a fight he can win, dude. If I'm being completely fucking honest with you, dude, there's a reason why they don't want it.
They're making it more and more clear the more they talk about this because they're coming out saying, right, it's starting to look like when they're coming out saying like, oh, the fight might not happen because of a rematch clause, or when Oscar De La Hoya comes out and says, oh, I don't have when he comes out and says, oh yeah, the fight is done, the fight's a done deal, and then he comes out saying, oh, I don't have a contract, if you don't give me a contract by Monday, the fight is off. It just seems like y'all don't want them to fight. You don't want Ryan to fight Tank. That's what it's coming off as. It's biting them in the ass. They're trying to show it as like, oh, Tank Davis is the bad people. They don't want the fight. They're putting all this stuff in the contract. But I learned recently, and a lot of people don't know this. I didn't even know this. A lot of people don't know this. Most fights in boxing, I don't know about the UFC, but most fights in boxing, they actually don't get officially signed and done until like the week of the fight. Like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, the fight wasn't official until like 4 days before the fight.
Well, this is like one of the big downfalls to boxing right now, right? Is just that they just cannot get the best fighters to fight the best fighters. It's been like that for so long, and it's like that because they're all individual contractors. They don't have to fight who the promotion tells them to fight. Like in the UFC, you're under contract with the UFC. You have to fight whoever the fucking UFC tells you to fight. In boxing, it's not like that. They're all their own bosses. So they don't have to fight the best guys. And if the contract don't like the fighters have all the power. They make the contracts. So if the contract isn't perfect on both sides, there ain't gonna be no fight. And it hardly ever is perfect on both sides because both sides can't be the A side. There can only be one A side. That's the fucking problem with boxing. There can't be an A side and a B side. There's got to be somebody that governs over all these fighters and tells them, "Look, you got to fight this guy." But they don't want to. They don't want to do that. So I don't know. Is anybody really surprised?
Yeah,
guys.
The problem is, right, is when I learned that the Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fight wasn't officially made until a few days, the leading up to it, you didn't know that. That wasn't like news. You didn't see Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao coming out saying, "Oh, the contract isn't signed yet. I don't know if the fight's happening. I don't know." No, you went about it thinking that the fight was gonna happen, even though it was still up in the air and the contracts weren't fully signed. So I don't understand why they're not doing this. Why they're coming out in public saying like pretending like the fight is in danger when like you could just stay silent and leave the negotiating behind closed doors. Why you got to make it public for everyone to worry and be like, "Oh, is the fight really happening or not?" Just be quiet, leave the negotiating behind closed doors. I don't understand why Ryan Garcia's team is coming out with all this stuff about the contract and everything.
I just think it's because they're trying to make it look like Tank's not signing the contract or not sending one, pretty much saying that Tank doesn't want the fight. But I just don't think this fight is gonna happen. I really don't think that. I'm not saying that Ryan doesn't want the fight because I think he does want the fight. I just don't think his team thinks that he's able to win this fight. So they're gonna do anything and everything to try and keep him away from this fight.
This is the thing about boxing is that everybody has to stay undefeated. You know what I mean? Because this could very easily, if this was an MMA fight, this could very easily be a fight that happens, one guy wins, and then they rematch.
Yeah, if it's a good fight, they just fight again.
But you see, in boxing, if you lose, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like they're so scared to lose, and I feel like the reason why the Mayweather Pacquiao fight was kind of the contract dispute was low key is because they both wanted the fight. They wanted
every
the
fight is like
really,
that.
They both wanted the fight really bad because they were gonna make $100 million, and Pacquiao wanted to fight Mayweather for so long. Mayweather wanted to wait until Pacquiao was a little bit older, past his prime, so he didn't lose the fight. And Pacquiao was hurt in that fight. I think Mayweather probably knew that low key. So he was trying to make sure the fight stayed. I think the reason why they're being so vocal in this one is because they don't want the fight. Ryan Garcia's camp does not want to fight Tank Davis because he's going to fucking get slept. Yep. He's not ready for that fight. They know it. They know he is not. He barely got past Campbell. Campbell almost knocked his ass out. He is not ready for Tank Davis, and they know it. That's why they're being so vocal about it. Because if they wanted that fight, they wouldn't be so vocal about it. They'd keep all the contract disputes under the rug, just like Mayweather and Pacquiao did, and they just get it done silently, so that the fight doesn't. The fans don't think the fight's going to fall out. That's why they kept it quiet for the Pacquiao Mayweather, because they didn't want the fans to not buy the pay-per-view. They didn't want the fans to think the fight wasn't going on.
Yeah, because with them doing this, that could hurt ticket sales and everything like that. Dude.
You think people are gonna buy? You think people are gonna buy tickets not knowing whether the fight's gonna happen or not? Let people still think the fight's on while we're getting the contract together, while we're still trying to figure it out. But they're not doing that, and it's because they don't want the fight.
Yeah, if they really do want the fight, they're making it seriously look like they don't want it, because everything is just pointing towards them trying to point the finger, say, "Oh, the fight's not happening because of them," but then they're staying quiet, saying like all they're saying is, "Yeah, we want the fight. we want the fight. We're trying to make it happen. That's all they should be saying is, yeah, we want the fight. We're gonna do what we can to make it happen. That's all they should be saying. I don't know why they're doing all this extra shit with leaking contracts and talking about rematch clauses and all this stupid shit.
Because they're trying to put something out there that's gonna put a stop to this fight. They're trying to.
Yeah, it seems like they're preparing for if the fight doesn't happen, they have the ammunition to point the finger at Tank Davis and his team. That's what it seems like they're doing.
Yeah, they're coming up with because look, no matter how much faith Ryan Garcia has in himself, his camp knows he's not going to win this fight. They know it,
and he's their money. He's their cash cow too.
That would be okay if this was MMA, but this is boxing. You can't afford to lose in boxing. You know what I mean? Like his camp can't afford to lose this fight. If they lose this fight, Ryan Garcia's star just goes down, and they're losing money, like straight up. Garcia is not going to be. He's going to be a meme after this fight. He's not going to be as big of a star as he was because they do this shit. Because they don't just fight. They make spectacles out of contract negotiations and are we going to fight? This fight's been hyped for how many years now? Like 5 years, and it still hasn't happened, and it might not still happen. So, yeah, I mean, if I was Ryan Garcia's camp, I'd be doing the same thing. They literally gained nothing from this.
You know what would have been cool?
What would have been cool?
Is if when you did that, those were like actual farts.
That would have been hilarious. Well, I mean, did they sound kind of like farts? They could have just said they were.
They sounded like it a little bit.
Could have just said they were.
Be like, oh, you shitted.
Motherfucking stank booty boy.
All right, was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about, or
how quick do you think Tank would have won that fight? Anyways, I think it would have been
inside 3 rounds.
I don't know, because Tank likes to take a few rounds off.
I'm on the record.
I think Garcia is better than some of the guys Tank's knocked out. I think he'll last a little bit longer than some
I
of
think
those
more
guys.
like the 8th.
I'll give it 4 to 6 rounds. I think he'll last 4 to 6 rounds. I don't think he'll last 8 rounds against Tank.
I'll give it the 8th just because Tank has adopted that Floyd Mayweather style where he just takes a few rounds off in the beginning, and then he starts to get going. So I'll say like the 8th.
Yeah, but he does. It's because he's the A side now. He can afford to fight to not get knocked out. You don't lose his shit, but I don't know, man. I think Tank's gonna bite down on his mouth. I don't think he likes Garcia. I think he's gonna be mean to him.
Yep, but they better make the fight, man.
It ain't gonna happen.
They better make the fight. They better make it happen.
You know what I'd be more interested in seeing. I want to see him fight like fucking Teofimo Lopez or fucking what's his name? This other guy. I want to see him fight somebody else. Devin Haney. I want to see him fight somebody else. I don't want to see him fight Garcia.
Shakur Stevenson is in there.
No, I think all those guys except for I think Teofimo would be a good fight for Ryan, but I think Shakur and especially Devin Haney. I think Devin Haney will
of all those guys, right, are in because Shakur just moved up. So of all those guys, of Tank, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, I'll take out Teofimo Lopez because I don't think he's gonna fight those guys anytime soon, especially after that last performance. And he asked himself, "Do I still got it?" If you're asking yourself that, I doubt he's gonna take one of those big fights anytime soon. And who's the 5th one? Lomachenko. Of those guys, who do you think is the top?
The top?
Who do you think is the best out of all of them?
I think Devin Haney.
I want to see Tank Davis fight somebody that's actually ready to fight him, not somebody that's just the most popular and has the biggest name. I want to see him fight somebody that can actually fucking fight him and beat him.
So who do you think? You think
he's the best?
Do you think
they're going to be? I think it's Devin Haney or Lomachenko.
Okay, who do you think, Dom?
I said Devin Haney.
Devin Haney. I think Shakur Stevenson. I think the fight that I really would want to see, because their styles are so similar, is Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. But the fight would be very boring. The fight would be extremely boring. But it was
That's
just
the same thing if Ryan Garcia fights one of them too.
yeah, it's just gonna be it's just gonna be very, very high level chess match. It's gonna be I hit you, you hit me. It's gonna be let's see who's faster and who can last longer with the speed.
Bro, is Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence gonna fucking happen already?
Nah,
Are they gonna do that shit?
it's not happening.
Isn't it gonna happen?
Crawford already fought, and Spence has another fight lined up. Spence is the one that's fighting the real guys. I think not Crawford, of course. It's the same situation. I don't think Crawford doesn't want the fight. I think his team doesn't want the fight, or he's just doing the steps that aren't moving towards the fight. He's taking steps that are in favor of himself and his career, and is gonna make him the most money, instead of moving in the favor of what's the best fight, what's gonna prove that I'm the best fighter in the world. These guys are moving in a way that's like, okay, what's best for me money wise, versus how can I prove that I'm the best in the world. All right, let's wrap this up.
All right, we'll do it. See you guys next time.
Just like that.
I don't fucking know, dude. You were just like, all right, cut it off.
See you guys next time. Bye.
I don't know if anybody was gonna say anything else.
Nah,
He was just like, all right, I gotta
Ricardo.
edit. And
No,
then
no,
guys,
Ricardo-
that's fine. That's fine.
Ricardo's the intro guy.
No,
Ricardo's the
that's fine.
outro
It'll
guy.
just be like, fuck off.
I know it got quiet for like 5 seconds, so I didn't think anybody was gonna say anything. So I was like, all right, bye.